holding my hand, sounds like Tyra now. A book called Bajan Renovations, coming soon to you here on TV. As a matter of fact, next weekend is a show by its name. And this contains inside all that you need to know. It's produced and presented, and that TV show too, by Kelly Johnley. It's so good to see you, Kelly. Good morning.
Happy to be here with you bright and early, Pearson.
That sounds as if you didn't want to get up sore.
No, I was prepared. I am a morning person, but you take the cake.
Thank you so much indeed. And so here we are, the cusp of a new series looking at renovation.
Yes.
And why did you start this series?
Well, I spend a lot of time online. I think many people draw their inspiration from home decor, from TV, and from the internet. And I've always liked to see people tracking their journeys. So when this started, it really was just me saying, okay, my little contribution to cyberspace, I'm going to take pictures. You may know that my background is in media, so I'm very much in the habit of taking pictures and little snips of everything. That is how it started. How it escalated is another story. But it started with me really just enjoying people's renovations and what they do around the home and saying, okay, let me create my little digital scrapbook of mine.
So in creating this digital scrapbook, obviously people have to trust you.
Yes.
Because you're exposing the before and the after.
Yes.
And so talk to me about getting the buy-in, the cooperation from others who would have worked with you.
Okay, so initially when I started, as I said, it really was just for me and whoever may have had an interest. Soon after, I would say a few people who I've worked with in the industry, clients in the home decor and building space reached out. And I had made a decision early up that while, if I could have wrapped my mind around it, how I could transition it to a series, I wanted to focus on the community first. From the time I started posting, a lot of people started asking questions. And I said, okay, if there are questions I can answer, let me answer them. But if I don't have the answers, and it really sometimes is just somebody in a DM saying, hey, do you know where I can get this hooked up? Or somebody could do this. Let me see, if I don't know myself, let me go and find a professional who can answer, whether it is a banker, an engineer, a plumber. And I believe, while it was not necessarily the initial plan, that just taking care of the people who wanted information is what gave the series its credibility. So by the time we thought about, okay, we need to put a production plan in place to capture this, there was a home base of what I call our Bajan renovators, who were not just locked into what I was doing, but were also now sharing with me what they were doing, whether they were going to the bank to see if they could get pre-approved, or if they were thinking, you know, my favorite is like, I just sending this to you to ask you what you think. And the series grew like that by focusing on who was invested in a building process. And then from there, we built out, I guess you could say, the brand or the product with other professionals.
What's been the most exciting and perhaps interesting thing that you've seen evolve from the show?
What I've enjoyed the most is actually going on other people's journeys with them. I mean, obviously, I only have the benefit of that. But so many people share so many things about what they are doing that I guess you could say it kept me going, because the renovation was a relatively long one from what I thought it was going to be. That kept me going. So it was interesting to see that there really was an appetite for this type of information, that as developed as our lending markets are and services are for homes, people still wanted to be able to ask questions, like what you call little questions, and people don't like to feel foolish, you know?
Yes.
They just want to say, tell me something. This was at the bottom of the letter. What do you mean?
Correct.
So that was interesting. In terms of the project, what surprised me, and I mean, you know, hindsight is 2020, and I'm now an advocate of professional services, but what we would call in building variances, that when you make changes to plans during a project, the ripple effect that it can have on the budget, and then the ripple effect that it can have on your timelines. I could say that was interesting, that how very small unplanned changes can just set another chain of events in motion.
You know, for a lot of people, their home is their heart.
Yes.
This is where I live and I dwell.
Yes.
And so while you might look around and become uncomfortable with the space, When you come and you knock it down, that's a totally different emotion now.
Well,
You've wiped away what felt for them to be a significant part of their life. Talk to me about how people generally react and respond to that process.
the process of knocking down. Oh, listen, let me tell you, they are the worst. Because I personally, I tell people knocking down is very fast.
Yes.
Building takes a lot longer. I think, of course, you would have remembered when the Hilton went down in like 3 minutes, right? But it took years to build it back. Listen, it takes no time to knock down a house. So if you want to knock down a house, please know, right, that you need to be fully committed to the process. I think the anxiety people have about renovation is a lack of information and then a lack of trust in service providers for whatever reason. I think people that genuinely like to see work getting done. So I don't think it's so much the knocking down. I think it's the what next. It's like, okay, you've pulled the roof off my house. You've taken out my bathroom. I ain't gotten a front door. What's supposed to happen now? But I find people like to see progress, and usually the knocking down is like, something happening.
Yes.
The pause is when it is down, right? And it's like, all right, what are we going to do now?
Correct.
That is where I think it is, the what next.
And I'm sure in the series we capture all of those emotions.
Oh, for sure. More than the emotions. I was fairly transparent in the process in terms of the decisions that led to different changes in the home, the budgeting process, the overruns, because it wasn't a little bit of overrun, it was a lot of overrun, how that would have been mitigated along the way, and any questions people had along the way, for me, usually came out in the series, because if I am tiling, people tend to come in with questions about tiling. So you will find as the series goes on, it is not a series centered around me and my thoughts. It is really something that develops with the questions of the viewer in mind, and it became an educational series.
It is going to be riveting, folks. It starts on January the 24th right here on TV8. And so what we read in the book,
yes,
we will probably all see on the series as well.
So the book is informed a lot by questions people ask. And those are questions I had to have answered for myself. So in our first edition, people asked a lot about what is the process of going to the bank? How do I get a mortgage? How do I pre-qualify? What's the legal process? How do I work with an engineer? What are the things I need to do to design my space, paint colors? Those are questions we answered in the first edition. In this one now, particularly as we were heading towards Christmas, we softened things a bit. We want to know, okay, so if I'm painting a house that is being renovated, is it the same as painting the house I'm in now that's finished? Yes, it's very different. Are you open to the the page on plants?
Yes.
Now, half of Barbados has a very green thumb, and then the rest of us admire, right? The rest of us admire. So we have articles on choosing plants for your home, because you know there will be that plant that will shame you. You will buy it, it will come home, and it will look good and shatter. I have a fern at home that's trying to embarrass me, right? So we have articles on plants. We have articles now on outdoor spaces. I heard the question you were asking the viewers is, what would you do if the budget was limitless? So we answer more direct questions in this one. And then if you want to see the show, well, obviously tune in to CBC from next week, Saturday, or you could check us out online on Instagram at Bajan Renovation by Kelly Johnley.
If you're sitting in your space right now and you are passionate about a change in your home and you feel a way about that change, you're asking yourselves where to start, because you have an idea but you don't know how to guide your idea. And so what's that question we've been asking all morning long? We ask, what's that one thing in your home you'd change today if money was no object? Could it be the kitchen, the bathroom, more space, air conditioning, or just move and start again? All of those questions are answered in the book Bajan Renovation, which is very pointed in its production, and that was deliberate, right, Kelly?
It was. The question you just asked, where to start. I think a lot of us, when it comes to designer renovations, we start at the end.
Yes.
We know what we want it to look like. You know, it's like when you buy a car, what color you get it? You know, it's like
people look at the make model,
make model, nothing. What color you get it? And a lot of people, myself included, when we look at or think about a renovation, so what color you gonna paint? This time my house ain't got no roof, you know. So you went and look at the paint. You went and look at the tiles. The place to start really is with a construction professional. That can be a draftsman, it can be an architect, it can be an engineer, it can be a QS, based on the scope of work you're doing. And the reason why I say that is because from you start making structural changes, and this is like you're removing things that are affixed to the house, like the counter, the wall, the window. You are not a professional in this space. You know, you are going to create challenges for yourself, which you end up doing a lot of corrective work before you get to the painting. So you start with a professional. You might not need the whole of Scotland Yard to come out, but you're going to start with one. And what I find, depending on, let's just say it's a paint project, you can go into many of these hardware stores, our paint stores, and have a level of consultation. Don't just go and pick up paint. They want to know about the surface you're painting. They want to know about the light in the room, what the room is going to be paid for. All white paints are not the same, apparently.
That's right.
And that is where you start. Start with some level of consultation. And then, of course, we get to the materials. And, of course, have your Pinterest boards and things like that.
Yes.
But I could tell you, whenever you talk to people, my house could have no roof and no sidewall. You see the hat curtains on sale. To hang to what?
Yes.
To hang to what? So start with some, and you were looking at plants.
Right, you don't get caught up in the aesthetics too soon.
Very easily.
Plan, and this book guides you through.
Yes.
And you've worked with a number of people and professionals
Yes.
in this book
Yes.
as well, who will help to guide and help us understand the parts of the process.
And that's important because, as I said, the series really grew because of the online community. And you don't need me to help you to be inspired by what you want your house to look like. You have the whole of the internet, magazine, you got CBC, you got mere things that you can look at. What people need to understand is the process. And I would be lying if I came and said I had a thorough understanding of all aspects of renovation. So it was really important to me to get people who were experts in their spaces to come and speak about. So like the first article in the magazine is by civil engineer Greg Paris, speaking about engineering, the role of engineering. We'd have spoken about a banker. One of the questions we got, I think one of your first callers was someone visiting from the UK. A lot of people ask, how do they buy property in Barbados as a non-national living overseas or as a Barbadian living overseas? It's a very specific question. People want to know if you could get a mortgage in Barbados if you don't live here. They want to know what the terms are. Do I have to come to Barbados to close? All of those are questions that feed into the publication, and then you get an expert. You get an attorney to come in and weigh in on the legal process, as well as a banker to say, all right, this is what happens. Some of these things are captured in the series and will feed into what we present on CBC, but it is also easy to just pick up, a magazine and read.
And you're quite right. So this is available
At
locally.
Massey stores. Yes, you can get it at Massey stores.
In other words, when you go to the supermarket.
When you go and pick up the food, when you go and pick up the food.
Pick up this, because this is food to consume as well.
It is.
And it's available. It's available, produced by Kelly Johnny.
Yes.
You've worked with a number of people in its production as well, and we really want to compliment all of you.
Yes, they did an
So the
excellent
series starts next Saturday. How many in the series?
I would believe we've packaged it down to 16. 16. So we have gone from 54 shows. So if you are following us at Bajan Renovation by Kelly Johnny on Instagram, there are 54 what I call mini shows there. But we got our glow up for CBC, where we had to trim out some of the fat and consolidate them. So I actually watched your first episode last night, and the first episode is actually our first 3 shows, plus a little teaser on the end. That makes up your show. So we brought it right down so you can get a year and a half of work in 3 months.
We love it. We love it. We're looking at some images as well from some of the process as well.
Yes.
I can well imagine what that person just wanted to create a little bit more space. They didn't quite like the archway they had there for a second.
So that is the house now.
And you see, look at the transformation.
That's the kitchen before. That is the
Part of the
process of enclosing the garage. The transition of the kitchen again. We now have cupboards. We're feeling fussy. That is the kitchen now.
Wow.
So it really is quite a transition. That was before we licked off the front of the house by accident. That was when we were taking out the windows, because it's a traditional Barbadian home, and we wanted to preserve a lot of the original features. So yes, you get all of it. The digging out of the windows. See, this is when we were starting to paint, choosing our lights, getting our furniture package, clean it up. Yeah, it was quite a ride.
And it's going to be a good ride for us here
It's a
on
good
TV8.
ride. It's
And
a
so
fun ride.
We're excited about this. Saturday the 24th, folks, right here on TV8. Stay tuned. We will tell you exactly what time so that you don't miss a single episode. 16 in this series is going to be shown indeed, and we're looking forward to Bajan Renovations coming to TV8. Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm
You're
happy to be a
welcome.
part of the team.
You're welcome. And of course, the book is available at all Massey supermarkets.
Yes.
You pick it up and then you pay at the cashier, and you
That's
take
right.
it home and you read it. You take some time and think
get
about
inspired and excited about
Yes.
your own renovation.
That's right. That's the whole point. Thank you so much again.
Thank you as well.
You're welcome.
Morning, morning, morning.